Somewhere between 12,000 and nearly 200,000 plastic particles enter your body every single year. Most of them you never think twice about. Then researchers found some of them somewhere nobody expected. Inside the human placenta, on the side touching the baby, you would assume the smaller a piece of plastic gets, the less it matters. Smaller sounds safer. It turns out to be exactly backwards. Let's decode it. Number one, they really are in there. Researchers have found microplastic particles in human blood, in the liver, and in the fatty plaques that build up inside arteries. In one study, they even showed up in human placentas, on both the maternal and fetal side. A more recent study went further and found them inside the human brain, in concentrations about 50% higher in people who died in 2024 than in people who died just 8 years earlier, in 2016. Brain tissue actually carried more of these particles than liver or kidney tissue from the same people, organs that filter your blood all day long. This is not a theory. It has been measured directly, using tools sensitive enough to identify individual plastic fragments in living tissue. Most of this exposure comes through drinking water. Bottled water tends to carry more of these particles than tap water, since the bottling and packaging process itself sheds extra particles into what you are drinking. Number two, most of it does not actually stay. Here is the part that softens the picture. According to current research, the majority of the microplastics you swallow pass straight through your digestive system. They get excreted, the same way plenty of things you eat pass through without ever being absorbed. Only a small fraction actually crosses into your tissue or bloodstream. So the particles researchers are finding in blood and organs are the exception making it through, not the general rule for everything you swallow. Number three, here is that backwards part from the beginning. Not all of these particles behave the same way. Microplastics range down to about 1 micrometer, but there is an even smaller category called nanoplastics, small enough to slip past barriers that stop their larger cousins entirely. Some nanoplastics have been shown to cross the placental barrier itself. They reach fetal tissue in ways that larger microplastic particles generally do not. So smaller does not mean safer, it means further. Think of the size difference like a pebble compared to fine dust. A pebble stays wherever it lands. Dust drifts into every gap in the room, including rooms a pebble could never enter. In lab studies on human liver cells, these nanoplastics also caused more oxidative stress and cellular disruption than their larger counterparts. Size for size, not less. Number four, here is the part almost no headline mentions. This is a genuinely fast-growing area of research. More than 23,000 studies on microplastics have been published since 2004, most of them in just the last decade. Animal studies have already found real effects, like mice developing more artery plaque after exposure. The handful of studies that followed actual humans point in a similar direction. People who already had microplastics in their arterial plaque were more likely to have a heart attack or a stroke in the years that followed. None of this proves the plastic itself caused those outcomes, rather than just showing up alongside whatever did. So the honest answer is not proven danger, and it is not a clean bill of health either. It is a real active question that science has not finished answering yet. So here is where that leaves you. These particles are measurably inside you, in places like your brain and your arteries, and the smallest ones behave the most aggressively in lab studies. Whether that is quietly making people sick is still an open, active question, not a settled one either way. If you want to lower your exposure without waiting for that research to catch up, the two biggest sources are worth knowing: bottled water and heated takeout containers. Swapping in tap water where it is safe to drink and letting hot food cool slightly before it sits in plastic cuts out a meaningful chunk of your yearly exposure without much effort at all. The particles already in you are not going anywhere overnight. But the story is not finished being written either, and that is a very different thing than a crisis. Check out our video on your gut, where we walk through what actually crosses your intestinal wall and what does not. This is the same border control system deciding what happens with these particles too. Comment below, did the brain findings surprise you more, or the fact that most of what you swallow just passes through?